Welcome back to B&G Hockey, where it's always black and gold. We had some pretty surprising news confirmed today, as we now know that the Boston Bruins have terminated the contract of Par Lindholm. He's going to be signing a multi-year deal back in the Swedish Hockey League with AIK. He was originally an assistant captain for this team before he signed his contract with the Maple Leafs and was a point-per-game player there. So he was a legit star, and he had quite a bit of success. He never really found that level of success in the NHL, however. He played in 106 games, but he only scored 4 goals, 15 assists for a total of 19 points. Now, he got to live out his dream, he got to play in the NHL, and played quite a few games and played for some pretty impressive franchises, including the Maple Leafs, a cup of coffee with the Winnipeg Jets, and obviously the Boston Bruins. He was making $850,000, a pretty sweet deal to make that kind of money and just sit and watch an incredible team, but clearly he wanted to play more and he wanted to go back home. And in order to terminate the contract, both the team and the player have to agree on it, and so clearly the Boston Bruins saw that Par Lindholm was falling out of favor and they didn't need him either. It's huge that we get $850,000 back on the cap. We don't have to pay Par Lindholm. That contract is gone. We don't have to worry about it. There's no retaining of any salaries. So that is huge because every little bit helps, especially with a flat cap. And there's quite a few storylines that come out of this surprising move, and we're going to talk about them right now. The biggest takeaway from this is the depth of the Boston Bruins. We've all been pleasantly surprised with the emergence of Trent Frederic. He's a perfectly good, everyday NHL player. Seems like he's a lock on this roster, playing on the third and fourth lines. Maybe that's not what we hoped for him to be when we originally drafted him, but he is going to be an impact player for the Boston Bruins for many years to come. He plays with physicality, brings a lot of energy, has a little bit of playmaking ability, and great size. And you only have to watch about 30 seconds of Par Lindholm to realize that Trent Frederic brings so much more to the lineup. So that's just one guy right off the bat that goes ahead of Par Lindholm. The organization clearly likes Anton Blidh quite a bit. I don't know why. Maybe Par Lindholm can pack him in his suitcase and we don't have to worry about him either. But the organization likes him quite a bit. They like Carson Kuhlman. They signed Greg McKegg. I don't know if many of you even remember that. I thought it was weird when we signed him originally because I knew we'd be playing the kids. I knew we had Par Lindholm. I guess he's like a Joakim Nordstrom replacement, but McKegg has yet to even play a game. So that gives him a shot at getting into the lineup. If the Bruins do get a little banged up, he's a lot closer to being next man in. And overall, you look at the organization and realize that it's kind of filling up, and that role of next guy in, there's plenty of guys who can jump up into that spot. You even have guys in Providence like Jack Studnicka, who they sent back down. I don't love that move. I would hope to see him back with the NHL club soon, or at least on the taxi squad. He now has that spot now that Par Lindholm is gone, or even a guy like a Senyshyn or some of the other kids who will surprise us this year with Providence. So all in all, Par Lindholm was only signed for the rest of this year, and he wasn't really getting in the way of too many players, but there's quite a bit of depth in the organization now that it's okay if we lose this type of fourth line depth guy. We have plenty more, and maybe even players who bring more than Par Lindholm did. The next biggest takeaway I mentioned a little bit at the beginning of the video, and it's what it does for our salary cap. It's huge that we don't have to pay Par Lindholm. I'm so sick of having dead money on the Bruins cap for buying out guys like Dennis Seidenberg, Matt Bolesky, David Backes. It's terrible to have dead cap space, especially when you have a flat cap like the Boston Bruins and the rest of the league do this season. And now that we don't have to pay Par Lindholm, we get an extra $850,000 back on the cap. That does help us this year if we want to be aggressive at the trade deadline. You have a little bit more money to spend than you had before. And it's great that the player and the organization were able to agree on a contract termination, and we didn't just have to buy out Par Lindholm and then be paying him and not even have him on our roster. At that point, it would have been silly, and he should have just finished out the year. So it's great that he wanted to leave and the Bruins wanted him to leave, and it's kind of sad. You hate to see a player frustrated, and you hate to see the organization willingly give up on a player, but really he was doing nothing for us, and if he's happy going back home and going back to a place where he had success, all the best to Par Lindholm. That's all I got for you in this one. Best of luck to Par Lindholm back in the Swedish Hockey League. I hope it works out for him. Thanks for being a Bruin. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments, what you thought of this move from an organizational standpoint, from a Par Lindholm standpoint, and what you thought of the player as a whole and his time here in Boston. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a big like, and if you haven't already, subscribe.